The state of New Jersey kills the death penalty, while the Supreme Court puts it on hold. But members of the EU remain skeptical. Could this be the death of the death penalty? Next on Global Pulse. A comparison of how broadcasters worldwide are covering this story. According to Amnesty International, 133 countries have abolished the death penalty. In 2006, China led the world in executions, with Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Sudan, and the United States accounting for 91% of all capital punishment. New Jersey is the first state in 40 years to eliminate the death penalty. But Germany's DW, France's TV5, and the BBC reported opinions that seemed skeptical of New Jersey's motives and the U.S.'s possible end to capital punishment.
At a short ceremony, New Jersey's governor signed the death penalty out of law, and with it his state made a little bit of history, the first in 4 decades to abolish executions.
A non-violent sentence of life in prison without parole best captures our state's highest values and reflects our best efforts to search for true justice, rather than state-endorsed killing.
This is, or perhaps more accurately was, New Jersey's death row. A state commission earlier this year concluded execution was more expensive than life imprisonment. It also voiced doubts over whether it is a deterrent. For years, human rights groups have called on the US to end the death penalty. In recent years, the number of executions here has been falling. 53 prisoners were killed last year. But this remains one of a handful of developed nations where such methods are still considered acceptable.
This decision is more symbolic than anything else. It won't change much in practice, as New Jersey has had a moratorium since 1963. But the black spot remains public opinion, which remains a large majority, 2/3 pro and 1/3 con, in favor of capital punishment.
European officials have gathered for a conference in Portugal to increase diplomatic pressure on the governments of countries like the US, China, and Iran that continue to execute their own citizens.
We all recognize the value of human life. That's why we're opposed to the death penalty. Anyone who promotes the death penalty does not have the European Parliament on their side.
Along with New Jersey's decision, the U.S. Supreme Court is reviewing whether lethal injection is constitutional. Al Jazeera English presented the prisoner's point of view and questioned the constitutionality of executing foreigners.
Eliberto Chi has experienced what it is to be hours away from an execution. He was scheduled to die October 3rd, but was told only the night before that a Supreme Court ruling had postponed his execution.
These people, they don't have no mercy with killing people over here.
We're really talking about these people spending the rest of their life in prison. We're not talking about them going free on some technicality.
Terry O'Rourke and the Honduran consulate defending Eliberto Chi argue that the 28-year-old man was not told he could get help from his country, and the Honduran government was never notified of the arrest nor of the sentence.
We don't have death penalty in our country. So if we don't have it in our country, we expect not to apply to our citizens in another country.
ABC News presented an opinion most would never hear, that of an ex-executioner.
Jerry Givens could be your next-door neighbor, a gentleman from Richmond. But for 17 years, from 1982 till 1999, he was a hired killer. 62 men died at his hands, licensed to kill, he says, as chief executioner for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
If you let the foreman be the executioner, if you let the judge be the executioner, I think he will give a second thought about sending somebody to be executed.
This is Aaron Coker for Global Pulse.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only US network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.